We all know how it works. You train super hard for weeks, months, years, and you make super progress, you go all the way up, and boom, you have to stop. Let it be an injury, COVID-19, or other life circumstances. But what happens? You lose muscle mass. Then you go back to training and suddenly you come back to your form in a much shorter time. So do our muscles kind of have a memory? Can they remember the form they were in and therefore grow faster? Let's find it out after the intro.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, this you crazy mother.
Let's say you want to improve the size of your biceps. That means you have a certain amount of muscle mass at day 0, represented in the graph by the baseline. And now you train your biceps for, let's say, 10 weeks, and obviously you gain some muscle mass. And of course, if you would train your biceps consistently, it would grow even bigger. So the bar would continuously rise. But let's say you are forced to stop after this 10 weeks of workout for another 10 weeks. So after the 10 weeks workout, you're 10 weeks resting. What we would expect after the 10 weeks of resting is that the bar would be significantly lower, meaning that we actually lost muscle mass, but it's still higher than before we even started to work out. That makes sense, and this is also a fact. And here comes the interesting part. Now after we rested for 10 weeks, we start to work out again for another 10 weeks. What would we expect there? Normally, that we are at the same level as after the first 10 weeks of workout or slightly above it, right? Exactly this is not the case. Multiple studies have shown that after restarting to work out, you reach your old form much easier and much faster than in the first 10 weeks of working out. But how is that possible? So there definitely is something like a muscle memory effect. And I would be really interested if you also experience the muscle memory effect the same way I do, so please write it down in the comments below. But in order to understand how this works, you must understand how muscles grow in general. Let me recap it very quickly. Our muscles consist out of many muscle fibers, which in turn consist out of many myofibrils, which again consist out of so-called sarcomeres. But whenever you train, you cause microtraumas in your muscle fibers, and they are then repaired when you rest. So muscle growth actually does not occur while you train, but when you do not train. But I will not go too deep into this process. In the future, I will do a more detailed video how this exactly functions, so don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date. The muscle fibers are large, so they contain many nuclei which harbor the genetic information for cell growth. During the repair process, so-called satellite cells or muscle stem cells are released from beneath the basement membrane of the muscle fibers. They have many functions, but one of them is to provide myonuclei or just nuclei for the muscle cells. Obviously, the more nuclei a muscle cell has, the bigger it can potentially grow, as they can provide all the necessary molecules for growth. During the time you rest, like in our example this 10 weeks, the cells do not maintain their anabolic state anymore, as there's just simply no reason for it. So you definitely lose muscle mass, but the nuclei which you received during the build-up phase or hypertrophy stay, more or less. That means after training again, the muscle cells, or more specifically the nuclei, receive the growth signals, express specific gene sets, and provide the proteins the muscle cells need for growth. That's why nutrition is so important. No matter how many growth signals your cells receive, if they do not have the necessary nutrients, they will simply not grow. But take care, over a longer period of time, you will definitely also lose the nuclei. I really can't tell you how long that exactly is, as it's not confirmed anywhere, but it surely depends on your genetics, life circumstances like nutrition, etc. From my personal experience, I can definitely confirm the muscle memory effect. After a longer break, the first week of workout is pretty tough for me, but after that, I'm usually back on track. As I already said, please share your experience with this effect in the comments below. Finally, what I want to say is, please guys, do not worry too much if you had a longer break. That you are sometimes forced to make a break is completely normal, that's life, but the most important thing is that you have the correct mindset and that you just pursue your goals. But of course, training consistently will always make your life easier. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something new today. Don't forget to subscribe for more tutorials, workouts and more useful information. Stay healthy and see you next time.